What's up, guys? Today I've decided I'm gonna go to a butcher shop to buy some cuts of meat. I've actually never really been to a butcher shop, at least here in America, so I wanted to go check it out and see what kind of the different cuts they have, quality of meat. And I'm probably gonna buy some fillets or some kind of steak. I have some friends over tomorrow night, and I'm just gonna kind of just go through this whole process of, just seeing the kind of meats they have and just selecting it. The grocery store usually has certain kinds and, a little bit more marked up prices, and you don't really have a lot of choices. Butcher shops are kind of the opposite, where they have multiple options and multiple choices, different kind of cuts that you wouldn't really see at a grocery store. Right now I'm at Deep Cuts Dallas Butcher Shop near Richardson, Texas, and I'm excited. I'm going to show you guys how it goes. So at the butcher shop, I ended up getting 2 fillets that are American Wagyu and 2 ribeyes that are choice and also dry aged, and they also already trimmed it for me. What I ended up doing was I salted these steaks early on in the day and I left them in the fridge. Later I dried them out of all the excess moisture that came out, and then I resalted it a little bit and added a lot of freshly ground pepper that I cracked myself. And the fillet just has a lot of flavor but not as much fat, and the ribeye has a lot of fat but also a lot of flavor as well. So I'm really excited to cook these down. Now let's talk sides. I ended up doing mashed potatoes. So I cut down some russet potatoes, put them in a pot, and I cover them with cold water. A lot of people think you need some hot boiling water and you throw the potatoes in there. This is actually one of the best ways to make sure you get some good mashed potatoes. Potatoes are heating up. I ended up getting some half and half, put that in a pot with some smashed garlic, thyme, rosemary, and sage, and I'll let this kind of steep and boil and let that milk get all the flavor. Other side dish is going to be some creamed spinach. I've never really had this, but I'm going to start with some avocado on the pot, and I'm going to throw some onions in there. While that half and half is steeping, I end up throwing a half a stick of butter in there for a little bit more creaminess. Into the onions, I also add some red pepper flakes just for a little bit of heat, and I'll just let that cook down a little bit. Once the onions are a little bit more cooked down, I add a bunch of minced garlic in there, and then I start adding the spinach. You add as much as you can, and it just gets really small. Like right now you can see the entire box of spinach is in there and it's basically shrink down. I'd make sure I add salt and cream cheese. You need to make sure it's soft so that it incorporates in there very well. And once that's kind of mixed in, I add a little bit more of half and half, and let that kind of just simmer really low and cook all well together. Later on, I end up adding some Italian cheese mix. It's like provolone and parmesan, a little bit of mozzarella. That just gives it a little bit more flavor and kind of just binds it together a little bit. That was done, I noticed that my potatoes are now soft, so I strained them and I put them back in the pot so that it dries up a little bit more. Then I started mashing them down, and then I add that steeped cream mixture with the garlic and the herbs. After that, I started salting and peppering both dishes to make sure that the taste is good. Make sure you taste it yourself to see what more you need to add. If you need to add a little bit more salt, a little bit more pepper, that's the best way you're going to know what more ingredients it needs. Always taste your food. It always helps you understand what more you need to add. That's done. You want to put both the side dishes into oven safe dishes and put them in the oven to warm up. Put a little bit more cheese on that creamed spinach as well. For the steaks, I use my stainless steel pan with some avocado oil on high heat. I put down the fillets about 2 minutes on each side to get a really good crust on it. As you can see right there, that's a beautiful crust you can get. Same thing with the ribeye, 2 minutes on each side. Give it a really good crust. Don't move the steak around too much. After that, this is going in the oven at 500 degrees for 5 to 7 minutes. Just do a temp check to see where you're at. And then after that, you want to let it rest with some compound butter. Compound butter has roasted garlic, sage, thyme, and rosemary. I let the meat rest for about 5 minutes. It came out looking great. It was medium rare, perfect all around. It was honestly such a great time cooking for all my friends. I had an amazing time. My friends had a great time. They loved the food that I made. They were really happy with it. Something I love to do is just bring joy to other people by cooking, and I think I did a great job of that yesterday. I know my friends had a great time as well. I hope this video maybe helps you cook your next meal, maybe the next time you made steak. This was honestly one of the best steaks that I've had. The side dishes were perfect. It was just a great time.